Hello, in this video I am going to cover credit score. I recommend that you watch the videos on debt, on credit, and on credit history before you check this out, but I'll give you a little overview of each of them. Debt is money you borrowed and you have to pay back, and there's usually interest tied to it, and the repayment schedules, etc., etc. Cover that more in the debt video. Credit is the amount of money that you can borrow from a lender, and credit history is all the money that you borrowed and how often you've paid them back, your timeliness of paying it paying it back. So credit history is very linked in with this, and credit is very well linked in with debt. So the credit score is linked very much in with your credit history, which is linked in with credit and debt. So credit score basically looks at your credit history and gives you a rating. So let's say if they give you between 0 and 1,000, depending on the credit rating agency. In the UK we've got Experian, and I think is it ClearScore. Experian is the main one that the average person will log in and use. You can create a free account and get your credit score. Recommend doing that. They rate it between, I think the max is 999. I want to say the lowest is 0. It could potentially be just like 1 or 100 possibly, but it's, let's say 0 to 1,000, and the higher the number, so the higher the number the better, and the lower the number the worse it is. So it basically looks, you can't see that, that's black color, that's stupid. It looks at your credit history and determines how well you are, how good you are at paying back money you've borrowed. So if you are borrowing money and you are paying it back in a timely fashion, you're making the interest payments timely, maybe you're even doing overpayments, then you will get a higher credit score. So let's say you start off at 700 credit score, and then you borrow some money and it has repayment schedule saying you have to pay back within 6 months. You pay back in 4.5 months. This could get upgraded to 800. This is a simplified example with a bunch of factors like the amount of money you borrowed, how often you pay back, how many actual loans you have. It's also how many bank accounts and cards you've actually opened as well. So he looks at a bunch of different factors, and he all considers that. But ultimately you want to constantly try to increase it, because even though credit score is used to help determine how much credit you could get, basically how much money you can borrow, you might think, I don't want to borrow any money. I'll earn the money. If I have enough to buy the car, I'll buy the car. If I have enough to buy, the clothes, I'll buy the clothes. That's fine. But you will most likely come to a point in your life where and obviously if you were at 700 and you made late payments, you might go down. If you kept going making late payments, you could keep going down and down and down. So the instance where you might want to borrow is a mortgage. So you may want to get a house one day, and most likely, as with most people, you won't be able to afford the entire house, so you'll probably put some sort of deposit down, borrow the rest of the money, and that money will have to come from a financial institution, usually a bank, and they're going to look at your credit history, ultimately your credit score. So if that's very low, the amount you can borrow, if any at all, will be obviously less. If you have a high credit history combined with good savings, you will be able to borrow more money. I'm not saying, and I'm not advocating that you should always borrow the maximum amount. You should live within your means. That's what I truly believe. But thinking, oh, credit history may not apply to me because I don't ever want to borrow, trust me, at some point you probably will. And even if you don't want to borrow, if you want to open up a certain type of bank account or other system, they will look at your credit score as well. And as a result, they'll be like, you know what? He doesn't have a very good credit score. Or potentially, if you just want to rent a property, they might look at your credit score and might be like, yo, he has a really terrible credit score, even though your credit score might just be low because you've never borrowed. That's the other thing. Don't think that because you've never borrowed money that you will immediately have a high credit score. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, because for a while my credit score was pretty high. It was, I think, because like I said, Experian is like 0 to 999. I believe it was like in the 800s, which is considered good. But because I had no credit card, I was not doing any borrowing, and I was just living smartly. At least that's what I thought at the time. My credit score wasn't really going up, because it's not just based on you not having any debt. It's based on how well you can pay that debt off, because he needs to look at your history. So that's the reason I got a credit card. I made really small payments like fuel or food, and I just paid them off at the end of the month, so there was no interest. And slowly this started going up. It went to like 850, then it went to like 900, 950. Then eventually it went to the ultimate shebang of the full 999. So that's the way I increased my credit score. So just bear that in mind as well. So that's it. I know these topics can be a bit awkward for some people. They don't want to discuss it or they want to ignore it. I recommend that you face it head on, that you discuss it, you think about it, because these are the foundations the modern day world is built on. So if you have any questions, feel free to hit us on Discord. There'll be a link in the description. We discuss everything from programming to finance to crypto and everything else in between. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.